Welcome to Massive Passive Cash Flow, the podcast that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and let's start building your wealth. Here's your host, Gary Wilson.
Welcome back to the Massive Passive Cash Flow podcast. I'm Gary Wilson, your host. I'm so glad you're back listening to the show or watching if that's what you're doing. We got a great guest today, Mike Price from beautiful, we used to call it Hotlanta, Atlanta, Georgia.
That's right.
And if you've been paying attention to macroeconomics and macro real estate industry news, you know Georgia's been a big magnet for people from all over for quite a few years now, and it's still growing. So Mike, first off, man, thanks for doing this. Oh, by the way, guys, everybody listening, Mike and I actually know each other. So it's not like he's a stranger. We meet every Monday in a mastermind group, and the dude is just an absolute genius and rock star. So get your pens and pencils ready and take notes because you're going to get some golden nuggets out of this. But Mike, thanks again for joining us. I appreciate it, man.
Well, hey, thanks for the awesome introduction, Gary. I really appreciate it. And thanks for having me on your podcast. I've been looking forward to this, man. This is, you're doing a great job with it. So I appreciate you having me on here.
Thank you. Well, we call it the industry leader edition. This is like a little subset of the bigger podcast, but the reality is I thought I'm going to really highlight the industry leaders that are, because we interview people doing gold and silver and crypto and all kinds of stuff, stock market, but in real estate, we got some real hot shots out there in the world. And I want people to see them, and I want consumers to recognize them too and use you guys to conduct their business, whether it's their own home or invest in property. So let's just start at the beginning. Most of us, Mike, we weren't born saying, I'm going to be a realtor. We were born saying, I'm going to be a fireman or a teacher or nurse or lawyer or whatever. But, what was your path? What led you to real estate? If you don't mind sharing that first, that'll give us some context. And then we can start to unravel the onion from there,
Sure, man. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks again. My path was not real estate. That was never the path. And I was always I had a lot of jobs when I was younger. And I got my license when I was 28. I'm 54 now. But I didn't really get serious for a while. But I was in the hospitality industry, and I was in restaurants and bartending and things like that. I met a lot of people all the time, and everybody kept telling me, you need to be in sales. And people were always trying to pull me away from the gig I was doing at the time. Hey, you need to come work for my company. And I just never did. And I finally met this lady one night, and she said, you need to be in real estate. And I said, okay. And what does that look like? She said, you just get your license and I got a job for you. And so I went and got my license and met her and her broker at Coldwell Banker. And little did I know that I was interviewing them first day interviewing me. So I got the gig, right? And I did it part-time. That was in 98. And I did it part-time, just hustling here and there, helping friends, not really doing much with it. And then in 2011, a really good friend of mine, John Fountain, who was my team leader at Keller Williams at the time, before I got there, he brought me in and basically was my mentor and showed me how to lead generate and set it up like a business. And I took off from there. So I really got serious about it in 2011. And that was, It was a long path getting there. I never pictured myself being in real estate, especially this long.
Yeah. Well, that was really, we were coming out of the recession, but as far as, statistics go, we were still at the bottom. We weren't at the top yet, not even close. We had bottomed out, I guess is what I would say. In 11, we were still skidding along the bottom. So going forward, how did your journey evolve? I know you have a team now. How did that start? Did you ever pick up any investments along the way? It's kind of two different subjects, but let's talk about the team first. How did that come about? What was your inspiration, and then what did you learn? What was give us one of the real, the sorrowful, tragic things I wish you could have done over kind of deals, but you learned from it. And I know you did because you're still here. And then the victory, kind of take us down that road if you don't mind.
We can spend all day on that, but since we got about 30 more minutes, I'll get to it. So I started out solo agent 2011. And when my friend John Fountain brought me into the brokerage, he said, hey, I'm going to show you how to lead generate. I go, what does that mean? And so he showed me what to do, gave me an office, and we went over and we role played, did scripts, and I didn't like doing it. I didn't feel like me. I didn't like, that's not how I talk. And I consistently practiced and practiced, and I started doing lead generation, calling expires, calling FSBO. Started out with my database, right? And I just started getting business. It's just started happening. And I closed about 10 deals from August of 2011 to January of 2012. And then I had some momentum, and I had, had been lead generating, and I was a solo agent, and I needed some help. And in February of 2012, John Fountain, my mentor, said, "Hey, you need to hire an assistant." And I said, "Well, I can't afford that. There's no way I can't outlay that kind of money." Because you can't afford not to. So he talked me into it. I did it. And my production went from 11 deals the year before to 24 that year. And then almost through the end of that year, here we go again. I'm getting overwhelmed. I've got a lot of business and I'm stretched. And he said, you need to hire an agent to help you. You need a buyer's agent. And so I brought a buyer's agent in, interviewed, didn't really know what I was doing, and landed on this guy, and he was pretty good. And we went from 24 to 56 units the next year. So I saw the light bulb went off, and I said, "Wow, this. I get this. I need leverage." And so I kept going through the years, and I was always a seeker, always looking to be around people that were doing it at a much higher level than me, because I didn't want to be. I wanted to. It was hard work getting the deals just as they were, but I really wanted to do a lot more business. So I attended masterminds. I was reading books. I was going to events, and then I found another agent, and I got two buyers agents, and we went from 56 to 65 units, and then the next year we went to 70, then 76, then 80, and we just kept going up every year. And that's really how I started the team. It wasn't, "Hey, I'm going to start a team." It was more like, "I need some help." I need some help. And so the other part of that is, when you're working with buyers, it takes up a lot of your time. And I shifted to sellers full time in about 2014. And then that's when I started hitting the bigger numbers, because I started focus on the seller listings. And then I was doing so much lead generation by myself that I just had more business that I could physically manage. And, I met my wife. She was my girlfriend in 2012, but I met my wife, who was soon to be my wife. And I realized I didn't want to work a lot of weekends. I didn't want to work, 80 hours a week anymore. And so I just really got real intentional about hiring leverage and folks that really wanted to do, the same thing I was doing. And so it really worked out well. But it's hard running a team. I'll tell everybody out there, running a team is one of the hardest things you'll do in real estate. Because it's just difficult to manage all that and be in production. And I don't really look at myself as I don't like managing people. I just want everybody to do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Show up and get on it. And so it's been a challenge, but it's been rewarding. I've been able to help a lot of agents, further their careers by doing that.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, and it really is important. That last thing you said, a lot of people don't see this or even think about it, but what you're doing, you're actually serving others. You're not just serving your clients, but the buyer's agents you bought, you gave them an opportunity. Look at that, man. You went from 24 to 56. That buyer's agent, I'm sure, got a nice chunk of that. So you just made that person's year and probably started them on a journey in their life. But really, a couple key things that came out of this is one of them is one of the hard lessons in life when you're in business for yourself and you're an entrepreneur, you're technically in business for yourself. Nobody's going to be like you. In spite of your best efforts to find the best people, nobody's going to be like you. It's just a fact of life. It's not that ego statement. It's not anything to be condescending. It's just reality. And anybody who's an entrepreneur who builds something recognizes that. And you have to, that requires you to be tolerant and to be patient and to be understanding and help people. And then you got to find their strengths. You got to look for, hire people that have a good work ethic, eager to learn, and has some degree of intelligence. They don't have to have college degrees or anything, but, understand, command of the English language and understand basic math. I mean, that's the kind of intelligence I'm talking about. And what happens is you then are able to identify your leaders. And so where you are, Mike, is you're what I call level 2. You went from level 1 solo agent to level 2. Level 3 is you're identifying your leaders and you're helping them develop their brand, their model, even their team. And you and I are both at EXP now, and we're actually not just, it's suggested that we do it, it's actually like part of the DNA of the company.
Yeah.
And even if it's not part of somebody else's DNA, when they come on board and they figure it out, it does become part of the DNA. It's part of the company culture. You help the next person get ahead. And it's an amazing thing because their support is phenomenal all the way to the top, man. I'm telling you, it's just unbelievable. So, so right now you've got, do you have like an admin person? I know for me, that was a big hire. When I thank the Lord, I got the right person for the first admin. She could do the work of three people. I didn't know how lucky I was till years later. But tell us about your team structure and what you're looking to do.
Well, it took me a long time to dial in the administrative operations department. It was a lot of mistakes, a lot of bad hires, a lot of, and you don't realize you got a bad hire until you're about 3-4 months into it, sometimes 6 months. So a lot of lessons learned there on what to look for, what not to look for. But now I've got a very, very good operations team. Jessica's my director of operations, and she's really dialed this thing in for us. And we've got 2 virtual assistants that we use for the marketing and helping with the database. And then we've got Kim, our contract to close, Busy Bee. She does all of our listing coordination and contract to close. And so we're dialed in. I mean, we're ready to go. We've got a platform now that we can bring, like you said, helping other agents, because it's not really, I do a lot of business and I'm very proud of it, but I think prouder that I can help other agents grow their business on our platform. And so we have an operations platform that's, it's top tier. Agents can come in and really just run their business. I've got, right now we've got 3 agents on our team, and we're always looking for talent, right? We're looking for agents that understand that the team's big enough for as many people as can be on there, and it's not going to take away from their business. People with a work ethic. And so we're always hunting and looking and scouring the earth for folks that really want to grow their business and do it in a way where they can, be more profitable than if they were trying to do it on their own. Because finding the right administrative help is crucial if you want to have a life. I mean, you can't really be a top agent without having that leverage. You know what I mean? It's very difficult.
Oh, yeah. Did you know that you can participate in class every Monday? We call it Monday Night Live, 7 p.m. Eastern, with me and dozens of other investor agents from around the country, in fact, the world. Every Monday, totally free. No selling, no recruiting, just straight up education on anything and everything in real estate. And we have a lot of good guests coming on once or twice a month, bringing in expertise on subjects like how to buy a house with crypto. Okay. How about them apples? What about AI? How's AI affecting our business? How about the metaverse, blockchain processing? We're already using it in title work. So come on to Monday Night Live. Be ready to take notes and ask questions because it's live and engaging, and you get to participate by asking questions and meeting others. So we'll see you there. Go to realestatewithgarywilson.com, click on the resource tab, drop down, and you'll see Monday Night Live. And in there, you can see one of the most recent classes. But more importantly, you can register for class as many as you want going up to like the end of the year, I believe. So in any case, do that. We'll see you on Monday Night Live. Look forward to meeting you in person. Take care. Well, what's interesting is mindset has a lot to do with it. So I know when I came out of IT, my first job was at NASA, working on the space shuttle project. And then I worked for the U.S. Navy as a contractor chasing Soviet subs.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. Then I got into banking. I was doing mergers and acquisitions for years. I helped a lot of banks grow and expand from the 80s into the 2000s. And but I had a different view of hiring. Like to me, at the bank, I became, eventually became a vice president, corporate vice president. I had 10 different groups of people working for me. And I saw it as an expense. I was given a budget to manage, right? But when I got into the private world, I built my own company, my own business. I had to change that completely. And I realized, wait a second, me hiring somebody is not an expense. I know according to the IRS it is an expense,
Okay.
But according to me, in my business, in my consumers, it was an investment. I hired the right person. That became an investment. Yeah, I had to pay her at the time. That was just as cheap back then. It was $50,000 a year. Now I'm paying closer to 100. My current, my right hand person, the operations manager. But the point is it allows me to generate a lot more business because I can focus on production and they focus on operations. So when you learn that division in any good, healthy business, you gotta remember, chances are, if you're the implementer, the innovator, if you're the creator, visionary, you are not the manager.
Mm-mm.
And you don't want to be a manager because it's taking you out of sales, which is where you shine. You're the producer, you're the production person, you're the hood ornament, you're the guy on the stage, and then your operations manager back behind the scenes, pushing all the buttons, making it all work. So I learned to treat it like an investment. And then when I brought in other agents, my first thought was, well, how am I going to accommodate them? Because technically they're taking market share. Well, what I realized is we work together as a team.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually adding to the market share, not taking from the market share. Just a lot of great lessons in life. And my first year in production, this sounds crazy, but I actually did 110 transactions my first year. I had no
Wow.
admin, no anything. But you got to remember, Mike, they were mostly, all of them, in fact, were investors. So I really only had a couple dozen clients. They just bought and sold an average of 4 properties. And with investors, I didn't have to go to closings. I didn't have to go to inspections. Those things saved me a bundle of time.
Yeah.
I was really like a quarterback making it all happen. So when I built a team, I had to figure out, how do I teach people this, because they're used to cold calling, door knocking, sending out postcards and all that stuff. And it was a major challenge. I literally created an entire training program that eventually became kind of world famous in the world of real estate.
Mm.
And I use that today. I use that for my team, and works perfectly. But the point is um, think of either someone in production you're bringing in sales, or someone in operations you're bringing in operations. Either way, you should view it as an investment to help you grow and help serve the public. Um, so what's the future look like? What are your dreams? What's your goals for the next 1, 3, and 5 years?
I have a clear plan that I want to be out of production completely in 5 years, and the reason, or less, and the reason is not for it's because when you're like you just said, when you're not the figurehead, when you're not the guy, when you're not doing the majority of the production, you have time to think, and you can strategize, and you can play chess, right, instead of checkers. And I really want to, and I told my team this in the beginning of the year, it wasn't about how many units we're doing this year. It's about creating a platform where agents can come in and run their business at the highest profitability without having to spend 4 or 5 years, finding the operations team to help them. And I love production. I love listings. I love going on appointments. I've got a lot of them right now, a lot of listings, and I'm very, very happy with that. But I've always been, I don't necessarily want the spotlight, so to speak. I want to give others the opportunity to be in the spotlight. I'd rather like almost be the coach now instead of the star wide receiver. I'd rather see everybody else succeed. And that's really the only reason I want to get out of production, is to be able to do that. But you have to have a certain level of production on the team in order to replace what we're doing, what I'm doing. And so that's really, my son's 9, he's almost 10, and I'm 54. So, I mean, I want to make sure that I'm, when he's in his, very soon, in the next 3 or 4 years, 5 years at the most, that I'm able to spend, a much more, I spend a lot of time with him now, but really can focus on, like, because when they're 18, 19, they're out, they're gone. You missed it. And I just don't want to miss that. I'm an older dad, and I've got friends that are my age that missed it with their kids. So that's really the driving force, is to set up the machine to where it's running, without me having to be the guy doing the business.
Yeah, there's another realization. It's funny because I've actually traveled the path that you're traveling, and all these things are coming back to you now. But what I learned was I didn't need to be the leader anymore. I mean, I am the leader, no doubt about it. But I'm not the hero. I'm actually the guide. And now I'm helping other people become the hero in their marketplaces. In fact, I've got a team of over 100 people in 38 states, and this is a true production team, like legally, contractually a production team. It's not my downline. That's. I mean, some of them are obviously my downline, but the point is I'm helping them build their own teams, or brands, or models, even their own training programs. And I'm not an operations person, but I'm guiding them through that production process that they're going through. And it is very, very rewarding, very, very fulfilling. And I will tell you, for everybody listening, you got to love people to do this. In the beginning, you got to love people to serve them, helping them buy and their sell their own homes and their investment properties. Then you got to love agents and operations people when you're building a team. And when you get to that third level where you're now being the guide and helping other people be the heroes, helping them build, you really got to love people because it's a longer process. That
Yeah.
process of helping somebody go from where they are to their next level, it's much longer than taking in a brand new agent. I still do that, but now I have other people coaching the new agents because I'm helping them build their own teams and downlines, and it does help. The longer you're in this company, by the way, you get something pretty nice called revenue share, and
Yeah.
I've been in other companies, but
Very
this
nice.
one is I mean, I can live off of it now, and I'm not doing that. But it's nice to know that I can, and I've only been here not even 4 years yet, So it's amazing. But so back to this. Uh, when you look at where you are in Atlanta, clearly you're one of the best markets. I mean, if you look at the growth, population movement, the migration of population between states and counties and so forth, you're attracting a lot of people from literally Northeast, Maine, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, swinging over Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Minnesota. I see all this because I have tools that I can use to track the migration of people and money, and I know where they're coming from. I know where they're going to. I know how much they're spending, and it's obviously Texas, Georgia, but there's some surprises in there. South Carolina, so like a little sleeper state. Tennessee's obviously now everybody knows about that, but Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, people are not. I mean, I'm probably now blowing everybody's secret, but it's
Yeah.
but
Raleigh, North Carolina.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you thought about expanding in those other territories, or is that part of your vision? Or because you probably got plenty in Atlanta. You don't ever have to leave Atlanta. I mean, that area is going to keep growing. It's just amazing. But have you thought about that at all? Even in Florida, growing, expanding down into Florida.
We do, and it's the old expansion model was to go down and open up an office in Florida and
Yeah.
then spend a year paying rent and building this office. And now with the model we have at EXP, it's so much easier. I mean, and I do have people that are out of state. We've got people in South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee, and so and it's virtual, so we don't have to have all that office space. So growing a quote unquote downline is really an extension of your team. It's a group of people that you are pouring into, leading, and training and helping them grow their business. And they don't necessarily have to be on their team. When I bring people on the team and into our brokerage, I'm like, hey, you may be a fit for our team, you may not be, but you're definitely a fit for our brokerage. And here's why. And to be able to help so many people, because everybody's at a different level. Like not everybody,
Right.
you put something in and go, nobody, no. If they were all like us, they'd have their own teams. My wife told me one day, not everybody wants to sell 75 homes a year, 100 homes a year. Some people just want to
Right.
do 5. And to be able to help that person do 5 or this person do 55, no matter if they're in Tennessee, Florida, Mississippi, North Carolina, wherever, that's to me the definition of expansion. I mean, that's like,
Yeah.
and it's almost like it can be global too, but it's so much
Hmm.
easier to plug somebody into your system, because if you've got a very solid, and it can be just a very basic lead generation platform, you can plug
Hmm.
that into any city and do business, and
Yeah.
that's what a lot of people don't understand is if you're willing to put in the time and spend a couple hours a day really doing some lead generation and finding out, hunting for that business, you can live anywhere. And so that's very rewarding because I can help
Right.
people beyond the Atlanta area, which we
Yeah.
do every day. It's really nice.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. When I first came here, my vision before I came here was to have a national team, but the brokerage I was at didn't have a platform for it. It was the franchise model. And a national team does not work well in a franchise
It
model.
does.
It can work, but very, very inefficient. A lot of too much overhead. Because remember, the old tagline for every franchise: each office independently owned and operated.
Yeah.
What that means is, let's say, I'm in Virginia here, and I'm also in Florida and Pennsylvania, and but if I was to go to Georgia and say, hey, let's say I was in a franchise model. Say, yeah, I'm going to come down there and I'm going to operate too because I've got a big team, or we're gonna do some business down there, and I want to use your resources because we need office space, and but I'm only going to give you $5,000 a year. How much do you think that owner's going to like that model? They're
No.
not. There's other people that are paying them 20,000 a year to be in that office, and I just
Or
want to give them
more.
five for a whole team.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two is, you know, the other version is, yeah, I set up my own shop there. Well, I believe me, I've done the franchise model. When you launch a franchise, it's not just a franchise fee. You're looking at, I mean, nowadays $50,000, but they require you to have $250,000 in reserves to launch, and it takes a year. So you're not even making any money. And here,
Not
we don't
even.
have any of that stuff. I came in, you plug into the spinal column, that's the organization, and it gives you access to the entire world. And we're in 38 states now, and I can operate in those states because I have agents in those states who are licensed in those states, reporting to that state's managing broker, managing broker. So it gives us the right to operate in that state as a team. It's the most amazing model I've ever seen. I'm thinking, I wish I had this. I launched my brokerage in 2009, Mike. I had no idea this company existed. It just launched. And I did have a vision of not having a bunch of cubes that sat empty all day long and a lot of overhead. So I actually moved my office to another office I owned. I told the agents, we're going to have admin people here, copiers, printers, bathrooms, whatever, conference rooms. I mean, because I had a title company and a property management company too.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you can come by for closings. You can come by, meet me, and shoot the breeze. We'll go to lunch. But the business is done out there in the marketplace. Your clients don't care about your office. They don't want to come to your office. They want you to come to them. So I already saw that years ago. It's just Glenn Sanford figured out the model in way before me. And thank goodness I met him in a conference in 2017. And it's still, I'm very stubborn, very Irish. I got a big, giant, thick Irish skull. So finally in 2020, somebody told me exactly what I needed to hear so that it would make sense to me, because he knew me. It was one of my friends, and I'm thinking, wish I'd have listened. I could kick myself for not joining sooner. Everybody says that too. Have you noticed that? Everybody says that. Man, I should have done this years ago. But don't worry, you got plenty of time. I mean, we're cruising right along here. It's amazing. But hey, listen, I know we're cutting into some valuable time here, but any final words of wisdom or thoughts that we can share with people? But also, this goes out, Mike, to a lot of people, agents and investors and consumers alike. How can they get a hold of you? Email, website, anything you want to share with people, and some parting words of wisdom, if you don't mind that too.
So my name is Mike Price, and I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. Mike at MikePriceTeam.com. Mike at MikePriceTeam.com is my email address. And my phone number is 678-559-7826. And that is my cell phone number. And some words of wisdom, I would tell anybody out there, and you just said something that I lived as well. I wish I'd have made the move. I did in 2020 as well, but I wish I'd have done it years earlier. And I found out the hard way that I wasn't doing enough soul searching and research for my family, because ultimately we're all doing this for our families. And I found out that I was being financially irresponsible for not looking at every opportunity out there. So I'll tell all you agents out there, a lot of agents are broker hopping all over the place. Mm-hmm. Take a good look. You owe it to yourself and your family to definitely do the research on every brokerage that you're looking at, whichever one it is, and find out which one's the best fit for you. And don't go somewhere for a better split here and better split there. What you're looking for, and take this from somebody who's been there and living it right now, you want to be in a space where collaboration is the number one thing that there is. And the financial alignment, it has to be there. If there's no financial alignment, if you've got brokers, independently owned, they're silos. You can't drive down to the other office down the street and use their conference room because it's owned by somebody else. You want to make sure that you are in alignment financially with everybody around you. That's when playbooks are opened. That's when things are shared. And that's when top producers, give you everything they have, because like you said, a rising tide raises all ships. And so do your diligence. Don't discount any brokers because you've heard something negative about it. take the time and talk to somebody that's doing a lot of business at brokerage and just find out if it's the best fit for you. Because if I'd have done that 4 years earlier, it'd be a much. I'm great where I am, but it would have been a much better scenario for me right now. And so it's never too late to do it, but just really latch on to some people that really like. One of the things I love about spending time with you, Gary, on Mondays, like this is a mastermind that we're on Mondays, led by our buddy Al Stasic. And I mean, this guy is owned brokerages and has a huge organization and takes his time every Monday to sit there with us for an hour and help us grow our businesses. I mean, that's the kind of thing that you like normally you couldn't even get in a room with that guy. But this guy's opened up, and he's just one of hundreds that we know now that are like that. And so that's my parting advice. Just really do your diligence and really take a deep look at where you want to be in 5 and 10 years. And is where you are now going to get you there? Most likely not. And make sure it's a financial model that aligns with, there's a financial alignment and a model that you can thrive in. And I've never been in an organization with brokerage like this right here. Guys like you, guys like, I can name 100 of them right now that are in my phone. I could call at any time and get anything I needed, and they could do the same. So I just said, do diligence and do the right thing for your family.
Yeah. And I agree 100%. And I will say where you are personally, you've got, Levi, Dan Hillsman, James Massey, all in your area, just an amazing organization of people. And for me personally, Mike, what it's come down to is I'm a very entrepreneurial person, which means, entrepreneurs are typically creative, innovative, resourceful. And at the other, what I call the big box companies, the franchise models, it was very corporatized. You got to do it their way. Everybody here knows what I'm talking about when I say that. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to name them, but you know what I'm talking about. You got to do it their way. Well, here we get to do it our way, and they support us and help us do it. They don't take any part of our. If I got a training platform, EXP doesn't have any. They don't take any part of that. There's no contract. The other companies, I'm telling you, Mike, they wanted me to sign these documents that gave away a lot of rights. I'm like, no, I built this myself. This is mine, And here it stays mine. We're growing all over the place. It's just amazing. So everything that you learn locally, just for everybody listening here, everything you develop locally, every marketing campaign, every strategy, for the most part can be used globally. The fundamentals never change, And it's just what's amazing about this is when you plug into a organizational structure, it allows you to grow exponentially immediately. You don't have to grow linearly one step at a time. Right. You take that first step, poof, your whole world opens up. And I mean fast. It's just amazing. So for everybody listening, I appreciate your time. Reach out to Mike at the MikePriceTeam.com.
That's right.
And Mike, thank you again. And please leave a review for the podcast. I know I ask this a lot, but it's so important. You can't imagine how important it is. We don't get paid for this. It's a community service. So your reviews are the currency of how podcasts work. It just takes a moment, go to the channel you're on, and we certainly appreciate it. And we will, by the way, God bless you and your family. Mike, you too, and all the listeners. And I will see you on the next Massive Passive Cash Flow podcast.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Massive Passive Cash Flow. Be sure to go to realestatewithgarywilson.com to join our community and start building wealth today.